And we are live. Good to see you. This is Sunday. Going to be a great day. Okay, kitty, it's time for daddy to go to work. Time for you to go wait. Love you. Bye. Good to see you, folks. Got a great show for you today. Everything that we knew, the awful crap that we said was going to happen before the Trump administration became the Trump regime, it's happening. It's happening, folks. And fortunately, the courts are catching up with them. So let's dig into it. Let's talk about it. Good morning, Ivy. Good to see you as well. Good to see you as well. It is Sunday. We made it. We made it through another week. I hope your Sunday is going well. I hope it's as beautiful as mine is outside. I'm going to do the best I can. I don't know if you can tell by my voice. I'm losing my voice. I got a little case. I think I got that flu bug that's going around. It's got me beat red. Eyes look bloodshot. I'm sorry. I look terrible, folks. I know it, but that's okay. We're gonna get it going. We're gonna get it going. Um, just a little FYI, measles is no longer just a Texas thing. You folks up in Michigan, I need you to pay attention. I need you to be careful. I need you to make sure that you're up to date on your vaccinations. If you are a Gen Xer like me, there is a possibility that you didn't receive 2 doses of the MMR vaccine. You may need another one. There's a teeter test that you can get done to let you know if you still have resistance to measles, but it is moved to Michigan. It's a nicer suburb in northern Detroit has come up with a case. Someone traveled overseas and brought it back with them. People are in we are a community here. People are putting the warning out. It's spread to Vermont as well. Yeah, it's just moving everywhere. It is just moving everywhere. I need you to be careful, folks. I need you to be mindful, even if you're vaccinated. And just a reminder, vaccines are not. You're not wearing a giant condom, folks. You're even if you're vaccinated, you can still catch the disease, and you can still spread the disease, but you're far less likely. It will be less severe. You will be contagious for far less time. Does Vaccinations are the way, folks. They are just the way. So yeah, we've got that going on. Randy Oliver, man, good to see you. Thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for always supporting the show. You're very generous, sir. You are very generous. I am grateful. So we knew when the Trump regime took control by the people they were appointing and the things we were going that we have seen going on, terrible things were going to happen. We knew that they were going to. I told you they're going to want to do awful things. I also told you they're incompetent as hell, which is a good thing, which means we're going to be able to fight them on this. And a lot of this is just old rehashes. These folks, this is not new. I just say this over and over again, and I just want to hammer this point home. None of this stuff is new. It's not. Nixon wanted to do all of this. All of these people that these billionaires are funding to come up with Project 2025, they're all old men. They're all people from the Nixon era. They're all trying to rehash the same crap that Nixon tried to do and failed. And they will fail too. The only problem is that even in Nixon's era, I say it over and over again, even a weak, stupid president can do a lot of damage. So yeah, let's dig into it. Let's dig into some of the things that have been happening that we knew were going to happen. Vincent Day, my friend, my tie, thank you for keeping us informed, Paul. No, thank y'all for supporting the show. I'm truly grateful. I can't do without you. Catherine Sophicatus, I hope I'm getting that right. Sophicatus is what I'm going with. I'm so very thankful for you. I'm very thankful for you. Thank y'all for being here. And yeah. Thank you all for being here because you get it. Brian Rimlinger, he is so dumb, he is dangerous. Thank you for being here, my friend. This happened. Poor Ned Johnson up in Seattle. Ned died. Only Ned didn't die. Doge has appointed 10 of his Wunderkind to set up a committee to review the millions of people on Social Security to find all the dead people, and they're not finding dead people collecting Social Security. They're finding very live people collecting Social Security that these dumbasses think are dead. And poor Ned here. Oh my God. This is a mess when it happens, folks, because Social Security doesn't screw around as far as people dying. You've commented on it before. I've seen your comments before. If you're in the audience again, please put the comments up because it is important for people to see real life 100% people that they associate with that can verify these things that I am saying about Social Security. Folks, when you die, the Social Security Administration is hyper fast at putting your death notice out. They will contact your bank. If they receive your death notice and you have received a payment, they will take that payment back and they will do it like that instantaneously. And your bank will just tell you, call Social Security. And that's what happened to poor Ned. The bank got the notification in February that he had died. But according to Social Security, they said he died back in December. So they took over $5,000 worth of Social Security payments back from Ned. Just right out of his bank account. And remember, Ned is still very much alive and still very much needs to eat and still very much needs to pay his electric bills and everything else. But the Social Security Administration, over $5,000 gone. Ned contacted his bank and he's like, well, you're dead. And there's no, I'm not dead. I'm on the phone with you. They said, sorry, can't help you. Contact the Social Security Administration. Now, I want you to think about what Doge has been doing, how they've been firing people, how they've been laying people off, how they've been dealing with Social Security, which was understaffed and undermanned before the Trump regime. Imagine what it's like dealing with them now. And Ned called and called and called. And his call, he would sit on hold forever and a day, and then he would get hung up on. So Ned finally went down to his office, his Social Security office, where there were only 2 people working. And by the way, Ned discovered after his visit to his office that his office is one of the offices that is scheduled to be closed and one of the offices that the Trumper down at GSA has scheduled for that office to be sold. So, yeah, Ned's looking forward to that the next time he dies. Mikey, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate you. I really do. Stoneflower Dragon, longtime supporter. Thank you for being here. When my mom passed, Social Security Administration knew first before the bank. Yes, it is no joke. That system is hyper fast. Cape Mary Light. When my husband died in 2017, the funeral home reported everything to Social Security. I didn't have to do a thing. Yes, there is a system that makes this happen, and it is shockingly fast. It really is. So Ned's down at the Social Security office, and he is standing there, and he is standing there, and he's 82 years old, man. I mean, he's not a spring chicken. This isn't easy. So an opening opens up, and Ned feels it important to apologize for this, and has told everybody he talks to he feels terrible about this. So I would like to communicate the fact that Ned feels extremely terrible, but he didn't think he was going to be able to make it. And after being dropped on several phone calls, he was in a panic and terrified, and it had opened up, and he bolted. He jumped out of line and ran to the front of the line in a panic and told the lady, "I'm not dead. You said I'm dead. I'm not dead." And he feels horrible about that. He does. He feels horrible about jumping on this. Ned seems like a good guy. He really does. Seems like a good guy. So the Social Security Administration finally figures out that Ned's alive. He has his passport and his documentation to prove who he is, and they can see that he is very much alive. And they fixed it, but he still hasn't been paid. He still hasn't been paid. They were able to get him the money they took back. But the system that pays out, he's apparently still screwed up in, and he hasn't received his current payments. That is the Trump regime, folks. Maria Costello, thank you for being here. That is what they want. It's their goal to make these systems operate so poorly and be so broken that people become outraged and angry at the system and want it destroyed so they can take your Social Security and they can privatize it. Because, privatization works so well in our healthcare industry. That's the goal. They want to take your Social Security and they want to hand it over to Wall Street. And this is how they intend to do it. They just intend to make life miserable for people. And that is the Trump regime, folks, in a nutshell. E.T., thank you for being here, my friend. Especially people that are immunocompromised need to be careful. Get your vaccines updated. We will still know that we have, while we still know that we have good vaccines. Amen, brother. Amen. I hear you. And yeah, folks, you can talk to your doctor and you can get tested to see if your vaccines are still current. And I will tell you, man, I was just with I'm not a hypocrite. I tell you folks, get involved with the local county parties. Boy, how they do. I don't just get involved with my party. All the counties around me, I get involved. Smith County had a deal for St. Patrick's Day yesterday. I was down there hanging out with those good folks. And I'm telling you, it's a good thing. That event yesterday was just getting together for a social networking is what it is. Just to press flesh, to get people to know each other. It wasn't that, a couple small little party things that they talked about, but it was getting together, eating some food, getting to know each other. I'm telling you, if you get involved, you will meet nice people, and they need the people and they need the energy. They do. But the thing is, where I'm going with that is, yeah, I get out and I talk to people. I hug people. I'm a hugger. I am. I'm a hugger. I'm sorry. I am sorry. My wife gets so mad at me because some people aren't, and we usually don't find out until after I'm already hugging them. But yeah, so I picked up. I think I picked up the flu. I have picked up the flu. So yeah, that happened. Well, this is also happening. I want to take you down to Aragua, Venezuela. Go to the map. Go to the map. Aragua is a state in Venezuela. It's outside. You see Caracas here. This is Aragua. And I got to tell you, Aragua is a beautiful place, folks. It is beautiful. A couple of little towns there have German influences. This is Colonia Tovar. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And don't ask me why Venezuelan towns have German influences. You know exactly why. There are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Venezuelans that live down in these towns that look like. I mean, you would think that you're in a freaking Willy frickin' Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, look at this town. I could lie to you and tell you that this was some town and that Aragua is considered the Alps of South America. I mean, look at that architecture. Isn't that pretty? And let me tell you, it's not just the architecture, man. It is beautiful. Yeah, y'all get it. I see y'all. Yeah, y'all get it. It is a just a the beaches, everything are just absolutely beautiful. This is one of the beaches down there in Aragua. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the mountains. I mean, that is just beautiful. Absolutely. But it's not all beautiful. Not everything about Aragua is beautiful. It is also the home of Tren de Aragua, or TDA. It is a drug cartel, and they are bad and violent. And it's not great, folks. It's not. They're a problem. They're like MS-13. They're a problem. It is something that law enforcement is really working to deal with. And this happened. This happened. Donald Trump, five Trinidad Agua members were arrested, and Donald Trump deported them. No big deal. That's what we do with criminals. We arrest them and we deport them. There's a whole system for that, right? Well, that system wasn't really good enough. Hey, Funny Bunny, thanks for being here. The first-time supporter, thank you for being here. Do you think it's possible that Elon stole our information to interfere with voting in 2026? I've got nothing to back that up. I don't. I have nothing to back that up. Do I think that they've got access to the information? Do I think they're sharing the information? I know for a fact they're sharing the information because tongue-tied. Um, Michael Flynn, General Michael Flynn, former General Michael Flynn, was sharing information that he had seen on social media. So yeah, I know that they're not protecting our information and they're handing our information to dangerous people. But I've got nothing to take it to that next step that you just mentioned there. Jordan, again, first time supporter. Thank you for being here. Am I the only one who is getting ads on this YouTube live? This has never happened before. Really? I know YouTube had made some changes. I didn't know that we were seeing ads full time. I don't control that, folks. I don't. That is our gracious host that controls all of that. Steve, thank you for being here. How long will it be for our Canadian-born senator to realize he did not have citizenship, if not for the 14th Amendment? Um, yeah, it doesn't apply to senators, but yeah, I get you. I understand what you're saying. Brian Pizza, keep up the good work. Texas Paul in Canada, we're looking at conservative leader that parrots Trump. Yeah, Pierre sucks. Pierre sucks. We have an election coming up, and it will be. Fortunately, people have woken up and seen what is happening here in Canada and throughout Europe, and they're looking at and they're recoiling from this whole right wing. Billionaires spent a fortune in Canada, just like they did in Europe, just like they did here in the United States, to promote this right wing garbage. And people are seeing it in action and they're recoiling from it. Thank God. Thank God. And yes, the liberals must win, Brian. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm getting ads as well, and it's annoying. It is not what tech. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, folks. I can't control it. It's got to be a new thing from Google. Hang in there. Hang in there. But yeah, So why is it important? Why are we talking about Tren de Agua and Aragua, uh, Venezuela? And because, well, this happened. We had 5 members of Tren de Agua that were arrested, and they were deported. And I've lost. I guess I accidentally closed that one. But yeah, you're gonna have to trust me. I had a headline for you about them being arrested. Here we go. And Jed Boasberg has had to step in because they weren't deported through the usual system. They weren't deported the way we normally. If you arrest a criminal, you can try them and deport them. I mean, that's what we have jails for. That's what we paid for, all this wonderful, fabulous system that we have to do. The Trump administration said, no, we're going to enact the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, and we're just going to deport these people without due cause or anything like that. And this is Judge Boasberg, Jeb Boasberg. We've talked about him before, talking some of the January 6th stuff. Old Jeb Boasberg said, no, you're not. No, you're not. We have a system for that. You're not going to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. That doesn't fly, because to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, there's criteria for that. One, you've got to be at war, and we're not at war. Or two, you have to be invaded as a precursor to war. That's the only other way you can use it. If a sovereign nation was invading us and Congress hadn't gotten around to making a formal declaration of war yet, the president could still invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. And the Trump regime is trying to be too cute by half and claiming the brown people are invading us, so it's an invasion. And because I'm using the word invasion, I'm gonna engage. I'm gonna be able to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 because I want to say it's an invasion, and it's not. And the courts aren't enjoying this. They aren't playing with it. And old Jeb Boasberg, I love it because the right wingers, just like they went after Amy Coney Barrett, calling her Amy Commie Barrett and everything else because she won't rubber stamp any of this stuff. Jeb Boasberg is now a liberal judge, even though he was appointed to the D.C. Superior Court in 2002 by W. They like to ignore that fact. He was promoted to the D.C. District Court back in 2011 by Obama. So he's a liberal judge now, even though there ain't nothing liberal about old Jeb Boasberg. But why is this important? Why do we care if they're doing this? Well, the Alien Enemies Act has kind of a dark history. It's been used 3 times in our history: the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. And World War I, 1812, it doesn't matter. We're going too far back. I don't want to get off in the weeds. World War I, it was used to deport people of my heritage without trial. I just don't think you're loyal enough. Get the hell out. It was used to go after organized crime without using the criminal justice system, and it was also used against people that for political reasons. They went after the Italian American community and just arrested people wholesale and deported people in World War One without asking. Without due process, not without asking, without due process. World War II, it got even darker. In World War II, they invoked the Alien Enemies Act and took 120,000 forgive me, I'm going to sneeze on you, forgive Forgive me. See, I'm a pleasant individual. Even when I have the flu, I am pleasant to be around. Oh my God, folks. But yeah, they used in World War II, they used the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to take 120,000 Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps all over the United States of America. They loaded them up on trains. Focus Lady, thank you for being here. Happy Sunday, and thanks for the encouraging commentary. Very sad that due process almost got canceled. And I told you, folks, they're doing this the way they're doing it because it takes time to get through the courts. And they just want to seem inevitable and pretend like they, fake it till you make it. That's their goal. And they're not making it. They're not making it. Because too many people know that this happened. They took 120,000 Japanese Americans and they loaded them up on trains. And they sent them to places like this. And when I say camps, I mean camps. Tar paper shacks. This looks like something you could, I could pull this up and say, this is a German concentration camp. And you wouldn't, if you didn't recognize that everyone in is of Japanese descent, you would just probably believe that because it looks exactly like the concentration camps. In fact, this is the camp from right here in Texas. This is the camp from Crystal City down here. It was one of the camps here in Texas. Yeah, they looked exactly like the camps the Nazis built. And we took 120,000 Americans without trial, without due process, without anything, and threw them in camps. And I said camps plural here in Texas because there were 5: Seagoville, Fort Sam Houston, Kennedy, Crystal City. That picture I showed you was from Crystal City, and Fort Bliss. One of the people that was sent to one of these camps, he was sent to the one in Aurora, Arkansas. It's actually a heritage site. You can actually go see it. One of the Japanese Americans sent there was George Takei. This is George Takei pictured with his husband Brad. As a child, him and his family were sent to Aurora. If you don't recognize him there, George Takei was Sulu from the Star Trek series and other performances. For nothing. I mean, they did nothing. They did nothing. They did nothing wrong. And him and his family were sent here. Which, by the way, Aurora is, if you head that direction, for about an hour and a half from me, you get to Aurora. These were not nice places, folks. They weren't. And these were not criminals. These were not spies. They were not people that were found to be, no, they were just rounded up. Because that's the power of the Alien Enemies Act. And that is why the Trump administration wants to invoke that particular act, not because they need to, not because they have any there's any need. We have the system. 5 defendants could have easily been prosecuted and processed. They could have been expedited. The system isn't entrenched so that if you had somebody really dangerous that you couldn't get them to trial, you can. But no, they wanted to invoke the Alien Enemies Act for a reason, folks. And it's because they're building camps right now. It's not just Guantanamo, what you saw in Guantanamo Bay, where they sent people to Guantanamo Bay and they're wasting our tax money building a concentration. They're building a concentration camp in Guantanamo Bay on top of the prison that already exists there. Steve R., thanks for being here, buddy. They're expanding it out and creating another one of these camps. Yeah, to hell with the Fourth Amendment. Tell me about it, brother. Tell me about it. Thank you for being here. Jordan, My concern with the courts is Donald Trump, a president, must control all levers of law enforcement. The courts have to enforce their rulings. It is a scary time, folks. It is a scary time. It is really, really a scary time. Elections have consequences, and we said it. We talked about it. These are bad people that want to do bad things. And we talked about they want to take themselves have told us 20 million people, and they want to put them in camps. They do. Lori Yates, he has no regard for people's civil rights, none whatsoever. They want to put them in camps. They want to just slap them in trains, driving down here to Texas where they're building these camps down here, stick them in these camps until they can find somebody that will take. Nobody's going to take that size of a migrant. Nobody is prepared. Folks, you cannot move that many people. It affects economies. You have to feed people. 20 million people is 60 million pounds of food a day that you have to come up with. That's just the basis of the base logistics. And no, these people are not qualified to do it. They're building these and they're doing this because, one, they're bigots. That is reason number one. They are white supremacist bigots. That is reason number one. And reason number two is they can't do this themselves. They're building an entire extra governmental infrastructure, paying money out to their billionaire broligarch donors companies. And then those same billionaire broligarchs form super PACs, and they form think tanks. They form institutes. We've talked about the institutes before. And they just plain old make donations directly to Republicans. Pounce Schumann, growing up, and my congressman, dentist, or orthodontist had all been sent to camps as children. I didn't learn about it until I was in college. I don't know why they don't teach this in high school. It is such a cautionary tale of how things can go so wrong. They might camp some near corporate farms and use them as slaves. Though they will. They will. They did it before. They will do it again. Those people in those camps were used as slave labor, and they will do it again. But primarily because they're bigots. And you want to know just a blatant example of how bad these people are bigots? I mean, because we don't have to guess. They're telling us. You don't have to guess. This is Major General Charles Rogers. Thanks for the support, man. Thanks for the support. Alex Rosenbaum, first-time supporter. Thank you for being here. Can't do the show without you. I'm very grateful. Is the talk of foreign conquest and preparation for invasion and then the pretext of staying in power later? Folks, if we don't get out and we don't vote, we've got special elections coming up in April that are going to be a rough fight. 2 of the seats are in blood red districts in Florida. If we don't get out and we don't fight and we don't show up for the midterms, and there are already people, I'll talk about it at the end of the show, there are already people that are doing that third-party bullshit. Folks, if we don't get out and we don't fight, there is a good chance that this narcissistic, insane freak may try to stay in power. I mean, he really is insane and gross. Let me introduce you to Major General Charles Powers. I talked about him during Black History Month. You notice around his neck there, that is the Medal of Honor. I want to read you a little excerpt from his citations for his Medal of Honor. Please stick with me. It's just a couple paragraphs long. I know reading something, you're never supposed to do that in the show. You're never supposed to read to people in the show. They tell you that you'll lose people. I think you people are advanced enough to hang in there. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, Lieutenant Colonel Rogers, Field Artillery, distinguished himself in action while serving as commanding officer, 1st Battalion, during the defense of the forward fire of a forward fire support base. It was Camp Rita. In the early morning hours, the fire support base was subjected to concentrated bombardment of heavy mortar, rocket, and rocket-propelled grenade fire. Simultaneously, the position was struck by a human wave ground assault led by sappers who breached the defensive barrier with Bangalore torpedoes and penetrated the defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers, with complete disregard for his safety, moved through the hail of fragments of bursting enemy rounds to the embattled area. He aggressively rallied the dazed artillery crewmen to man their howitzers, and he directed their fire on the assaulting enemy. Folks, they took their howitzers and they went to zero elevation. They were using them as cannons. This is how close and intense. This is an artillery unit. This is not an infantry unit. These are artillerymen. They had to lower their howitzers to zero elevation, and they were using them as cannons. He aggressively rallied the dazed artillery crewmen and their howitzers, and he directed their fire on the assaulting enemy. Although knocked to the ground and wounded by an exploding round, that was injury number one. They had a mortar shell explode near him while he was commanding his troops, and he took shrapnel from that. Leapt right back up to his feet. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers sprang to his feet and led a small counterattack force against an enemy element that had penetrated the howitzer's position. The Vietnamese had breached their perimeter. They picked up their M16s, and he personally led an assault against these forces, where he was shot with an AK-47. Although painfully wounded a second time during the assault, Lieutenant Colonel Rogers pressed the attack, killing several of the enemy and driving the remainder from his position. Refusing medical treatment, again, shot with an AK-47, refuses medical treatment. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers reestablished and reinforced the defensive positions as a second human wave attack was launched against another sector of the perimeter. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers directed artillery fire on the assaulting enemy and led a second counterattack against the charging forces. Picked up his M16 again and ran to another howitzer and helped them repel an enemy assault. This was hand-to-hand combat, folks. They were at point-blank range. He's already got shrapnel wounds and a bullet hole. His valorous example rallied the beleaguered defenders to repulse and defeat the enemy onslaught. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers moved from position to position through the heavy enemy fire, giving encouragement and direction to his men. At dawn, the determined enemy launched the third assault against the fire base in an attempt to overrun the position. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers moved to the threatened area, again charging into combat. When a shell hit the parapet, a parapet is a defensive wall. It is. It's just a defensive wall. Hit the parapet he was standing on, and he was critically wounded. He could no longer command his troops at that point. I mean, Just let that sink in. He couldn't command his troops, but testimony on the ground is that he never shut up. He just encouraged his men the whole time. No, he actually survived. He was severely wounded, and he actually survived. He died in Germany in the 1980s. So, yeah, I mean, Medal of Honor winner, you would think, hey, this would be somebody we would celebrate, right? Well, we used to. There's a thing in the DoD called Medal of Honor Monday, where stories like this are highlighted. People celebrate men like him. Unfortunately, if you try to go, and I want to encourage you to do this after the show, go look up Major General Charles Rogers. And when you do, yeah, it choked me up too. Thank you for being here, shaking my head. When you go to look up his webpage, you get this. Now, I did a screenshot of the webpage. You can see that the URL is here. I want to show you a screenshot of the URL. I did a close-up of the URL because some people are watching on phones and it's difficult to read. This is the URL. Defense.gov news featured story article 282-4271. DEI Medal of Honor Monday. Army Major General Charles Calvin Roberts. Some racist, bigoted jackass changed the link to include DEI Medal of Honor Monday from Medal of Honor Monday. Because apparently that wasn't good enough for the fucking bigots. I cannot tell you how angry this makes me. That type of bravery, that type of leadership, the people that we should be celebrating as the best of us. E.T., thank you for being here, man. People, it's less than 3 weeks until a special election on the first. It's just over 2 weeks. I've given to all three. Let's all give something to help these people. And like, yeah, we do. We need to help these people out. They need money and volunteers. V-Man, how long before Trump calls the Congressional Gold Medal for the 65th Infantry Regiment, the All Puerto Rican Regiment of the North Korean War, a DEI medal? They already are. That's the point of this. When you do the search, this is going to be the first thing that comes up. When you do the Google search for Major General Charles Rogers, this is the first one that comes up. The DOD link. But it's changed. They changed it. It goes to a dead page because they changed that link to read DEI Medal of Honor. Which, you know what? To me, who knows what DEI is, diversity, equity, and inclusion, hell yeah. So, hell yeah. We are a diverse population. This man is the best among us. You want to celebrate him? Celebrate him. You want to say DEI Medal of Honor? You go ahead if it's just me and you talking, but you know damn well they mean that as a slight. They mean that as an insult. They mean it as a less than. SFL, thank you for being here. First time supporter. Glad to see you. Texas Paul Crazy thinking here. Do your things? They will try and shut down passport offices so women can't get an updated passport for voting. To be quite honest with you, I do believe that is part of undermanning. They've already do that with voting. They underman Democratic districts. They don't put enough voting machines out for Democratic districts. Yeah, I think they're going to try to make it more difficult. That's why we're going to have to be extra vigilant going into these elections. We're going to have to be extra prepared. ET, drunk Pete would have run. Yeah, he would. Pete Hegseth is not qualified to dab the sweat of General Charles Rogers' nutsack. Yet here he is as the head of our Department of Defense doing things like this. And we know exactly why he's doing. I want to do a quick shout out to Brandon Friedman. He's one of the people that I follow on Blue Sky. And look, let me just talk about this for just 1 second. I get a lot of people that get really angry at me. They're like, you have almost 300,000 followers and you only follow, I can't remember how many it is. It's a couple thousand people that I follow at most. Folks, I don't follow people just to give you a shout out. I don't. I follow people on these platforms because there are reporters, there are people that have good information, and they put it out directly on these platforms. They don't get filtered through the corporate media, and I don't get what I want to see picked through and chosen by someone else determining what I get to see. I follow people like Brandon Friedman. Brandon Friedman is the one that called this to my attention. He is a great follow on Blue Sky. So please don't get offended if I'm not following you back on these platforms. I use it for work. I use it so that I'm not drowned out with 10,000 people retweeting the same thing that I can get already from somebody that I follow directly. It's not personal. It's not for me. I mean, I realize the ratio ain't right. I get that. But it's because I follow people like Brandon Friedman, who I highly recommend you follow because he's the one that called my attention to this. So yeah, shout out to Brandon. You know, this is Pete Hegseth. This is the guy responsible for General Rogers' page being taken down. And if you don't think it's about bigotry, I invite you to look at those tattoos right there. The Jerusalem cross and Deus Vult, both of which are tied to white supremacy. Pete Hegseth said, no, I'm just a good Christian. That's why I believe. Deus Vult means God wills it. And the Jerusalem cross, they're claiming, well, I'm just a good Christian. That's why I'm a good Christian. No, you're a fucking Nazi. The white supremacists have been using both of those emblems for a very long time now. This is from Charlottesville. See this guy right here? I'm going to take you in for a close-up of this guy right here. See this shield? This is a common refrain among the white supremacists. Both of those, Deus Vult and the Jerusalem cross. These have been used by white supremacy organizations for the longest time because they don't build themselves as social organizations. They build themselves as religions. You see this ICXC Nika on here? That basically means Christ conquers. It's from Greek. It's a bastardization of a Greek quote. They believe that their white supremacy hate comes from the legitimacy of Christianity. And Pete Hegseth is very much one of them. And he isn't qualified to dab the sweat of General Charles Rogers' nutsack, much less. I mean, his career is a joke. He should not be in the job he is in. But it's what we're, again, what we talked about in the beginning of the show. The people they've appointed, they're going to do terrible things, but you also know they're unqualified and just completely incompetent. So yeah, we're going to have to fight through this crap, and we're going to have to fix this crap. And it's time that we didn't need to waste over bigotry and just weakness and small, frail, scared men. Michael McAndrews, thanks, Paul, for informing us and standing up for that. And I thank you for being here, brother. We're standing together. We are standing together. And if you want just an idea of exactly how small and weak these men are, look at the guy in charge. Folks, this just happened. Well, actually, this didn't just happen, but what happened involving this just happened. So Trump appoints Keith Kellogg, General Keith Kellogg, as his special envoy to Ukraine and Russia. But he just removed him as the envoy to Russia. Why? I mean, good question, because Keith Kellogg is his boy. General Keith Kellogg is another Michael Flynn. I mean, he actually worked at his bullshit Broligarch funded think tank, AFPI. He was the co-chair for the Center for American Security at AFPI, or the America First Policy Institute. I've told you, these boondoggles are nothing more than ways for billionaires to funnel massive amounts of money. When they talk about, well, the Democrats actually raised more money. No, we didn't. You and I funded a Democratic candidate. This is why I keep telling you folks, I'm going to pause right now and I'm going to say this again. This is why I am screaming for you to please get involved in your local Democratic Party, because this is the kind of thing that you can overcome with your presence. The Republicans pay for it. The Republicans have these think tanks. They funnel money into ads. They funnel money into robocalls. They pay people out the wazoo to engage in electioneering. You can be the foil to that by simply volunteering, by simply getting involved directly in your local party. That is where you can make the most influence. That's where they need the bodies the most, folks. And right now, there's not elections going on everywhere. When you hook up with them, there isn't going to be much going on. There isn't, because there isn't an election, but you're going to network with these people. Like I said, I just went and broke bread with the Smith County Democratic Party. Why? Because when it's election time, these are the people that I'm going to be working with. And folks, let me tell you, this is the situation in your local Democratic Party. It is filled with people of an average age, I'd guess probably in their mid-70s. These are people with massive amounts of knowledge, that knows how the system works, that knows how they've been doing this forever. And they need young, spirited people to teach this information, to carry on, to be the energy. They need this desperately, and you can counteract all of this. You can put the Broligarchs in the fucking dirt by showing up and volunteering and doing what they're paying people on the Republican side to do. Because those people they're paying don't have loyalty. You're going to be there because you believe in what you're doing. They're paying people to be there. Colleen Sarah, thank you for being here. If we all speak out, karma will be a bitch. Amen. Amen. So what happened with Kellogg? I mean, he was Trump's boy. He was Trump's boy. Straight out of his AFPI bullshit institute. Well, the boss called. That's how weak these people are. The boss called. The boss called and said, I don't want Kellogg there. Why? Well, a lot of conservatives in Europe and people that are actually understanding what's going on breathed a giant sigh of relief when they appointed Keith Kellogg. I know it bothers me because of his right-wing Trump sycophantic politics, but he was actually a legitimate general, and he understood the big picture. And it was actually his idea. It was his counseling to use military aid as a cudgel against the Ukrainians to force peace talks. But he also understood Russia could not be allowed to run rampant. He was the delusional guy that was selling to Trump that he was somehow going to be able to forge some sort of peace deal here, and that we were going to have to keep supporting Ukraine, even though we're going to be pressuring Ukraine. And for that, Russia said, no, get him out of here. And Trump complied. When they had the peace talks with Russia and Ukraine in Saudi Arabia, Trump's envoy was not allowed to attend. The guy that the president of the United States says was his man, his representative in this conflict, the envoy for Ukraine and Russia, could not attend the peace talks in Jeddah and didn't. They complied. That is exactly how weak these people are. One complaint from Russia and it was over. And in fact, they've gone so far, he's no longer the envoy for Ukraine and Russia. That's been deleted from his title. He is now just the envoy for Ukraine. Peter Campbell, Texas Paul, have the rethugs been practicing the dismantling of our government? Bush Jr. 08, Trump 19, Democrats have shown they can rebuild after Republicans wreck our economy. They have always wanted to do this, my friend. They have always wanted to do this. This is what Democrats have been fighting the entire time. You just didn't know it because the lights stayed on. Every budget negotiations, Democrats walked out and said, you know what? They want to attack your Social Security and Medicare. They told us. And the Republicans would say, what? No, we didn't do that. Well, you didn't do it because the Republicans the Democrats negotiated and gave you shit for Johnny Gotrocks, your massive donors, so that you wouldn't do it. But you tried. You've tried for decades. Kelly Leiden, what will happen to my job as an ASE exceptional student education teacher who works with students with disabilities by giving academic support, and I write their IEP individualized education plan? Kelly, I can't tell you specifically what will happen with your job, but I do know that the funding from the Department of Education is going to go away. It is. We can't stop that. They're going to do it. The Department of Education has been their target forever, and they're acting against it right now, just like they're acting against the post office right now. You're not seeing big headlines from it because the big move hasn't happened, but all of the setup is happening right now as we speak. It is. I would brace for it. I would prepare. I would act as though your job will go away in the next few months. That is what I would act like. I can't tell you for sure that yours is, but I would plan as though it is. So yeah, they just bent the knee and complied. That's how weak they are, folks. That's the reality we're living in. Steve R., if any of you watching live in Brazos County, we need you at our local party meetings. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. So yeah, I know it's a bit of a mixed bag today. We're seeing the courts catching up. That's a good thing. But we're seeing all the crap that they're trying. They're really trying to engage the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to build their concentration camps. We told you they were going to do it. This argument in court is laying the groundwork for it. If the courts hold, the camps don't come. There will be small little logistical thing. It won't be mass camps if the courts hold. We'll see. So far, conservative judges, have been standing their ground. I mean, you got judges like Jeb Boasberg that have been standing their ground. Amy Coney Barrett has been. No, I don't think we're going to go along with all this so far, and she's catching a lot of heat. We will see if they stand up. Kenya Diva, he's defunding Voice of America and libraries stating they're unnecessary. Yes, I told you they were going to do all of this, folks. I wasn't lying. It wasn't hyperbole when I told you that I talked to people involved in these negotiations, and they are telling me the Republicans tried to end Medicare today. The Republicans tried to end Medicaid today. The corporate media failed, 100%. Failed. There would be an occasional headline that was never really direct. It was never, hey, you know what? The Republicans are trying to do this. No, it was always sane washing, and it's happened over and over again. And that's on their side. What's happening on our side is just, it's exasperating. It is frustrating. It is angering. The same folks that voted for Jill Stein, the same folks that were, let me find this and pull it up for you. I want you to see a direct post from this person. 1 second. Let me see if that's it. Yep, there it is. This is Qasim Rashid. A lot of people really love this guy. They really do. He's got a very large following. A lot of people that fell for the Gaza bullshit when I told people don't do this, don't go down that road. Attacking Democrats. Vote for Jill Stein. Teach them Democrats a lesson. Please no. Please don't do that. Please no. I mean, how many times did I say it? Please no. You're wrong. The path forward is through the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party understands and sympathizes with your position. Support the Democratic Party. Don't support Jill Stein because it's just going to put Trump in office, and Trump is going to do horrible things. And here we are. Here we are. Exactly what I talked about. Well, they're doing it again, folks. Calling Sarah, we want to take over the country, but please send us eggs. I know. But this is Qasim Rashid, Mr. Vote for Jill Stein. If you voted Democrat in the last election, are you voting Democrat again in the next election? Or are you looking for a third party with a spine? Yeah, that's not from November, folks. That's not from November. He just put that out over this stupid continuing resolution. Everybody have a shit fit because they passed a continuing resolution that was always going to pass. They're back at it. with special elections in 2 weeks, they're back at it telling people vote third party. And they're going to do it again in the midterms. Folks, we can't do this again. We can't. I didn't like the way Chuck Schumer handled things. I thought it was a shit show. I've told you, I think he needs to fall on his sword. But do you need to vote third party? No. I'll tell you, you want to deal with Chuck Schumer? I will stand with you, but we're going to do it when there are leadership elections after the midterms. That's when we're going to do it. Chuck Schumer is so old, he will not be the majority leader again. And that CR was always going to pass. Were the negotiations a shit show? Yes, they were. Shaking my head. It's becoming obvious that with all these programs being eliminated, that Republicans want the old, poor, and sick to just die off. They want them in the streets begging. They do. And yeah, they want them to just die. And I'm with you on this. Great sentiment. I will support you when it's time for leadership elections. What I'm not going to do is support people that are really behind this. I kept telling people, these are the same people that did this shit before. They're not talking about just Chuck Schumer they want to cut the Achilles heel of the Democratic Party. These are not good people, folks. They are not good people. They're here to undercut all our efforts, and it always serves the Republicans. Always. There are several people. I will tell you, Cenk Uygur over at the Young Turks, fuck that guy. All of them. I got no use for them. I have no use for anybody that pretends to be on the left, but does nothing but we are a two-party system. A two-party system. And we are in the middle of a crisis. We are. We have a Republican Party that is going for broke on power grabs. They're trying to build concentration camps. And you've got these dumbasses talking about, are you ready for a third party? People. And I will be honest with you. I have been completely and utterly shocked. I always knew the ones on the right were dumbasses. I did not know there were so many people on our side. This is why I'm telling you, I'm going somewhere with this. Stick with me. You people are so important because these people are talking in our bubble. Your voices, share it. Look, hit the damn thumbs up button. Boost us with the algorithm. Get people to see this. I'll talk to as many people as I can talk to, but you need to talk on your social media. You need to share good information. You need to tell people. You need to push back on all of this hard, because if they think that they're going to lose the wind in their sails, these people will shut the hell up. They don't want to lose it all. They don't. They want to try to keep, this is all about them and their influence. Andrew Ordonez, Texas Paul, what's the Republican end game? Is it just to unalive Americans, to hurt people? Is it it's to bring back the Gilded Age, the age of white supremacy and billionaire robber barons. That's it. That's just it. To give their oligarch sugar daddies everything they possibly can because they get that little bit of largesse. They're such small men. They see, well, my net worth went from being $100,000 or negative net worth to I'm now worth $21 million because of my sugar daddy. So I'm going to keep doing everything my sugar daddy wants. That's really it, folks. It's that simple. They're bigots and they're greedy and they're corrupt to their core. E.T., my man, the corporate media are complicit in installing MKD. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So they are all in on this. Some reporters and others in them are not, but the bosses are. Yeah, there are a handful of people in the corporate media that are worth listening to, but for the most part, they're just influenced trash. You know, we've seen the interviews where they sane wash Trump. But folks, we really don't have time. We don't have time. And I'll tell you, I want to show you something else I shared the other day. Let me see if it's yeah, I deleted it there. It was just something funny that I wanted to now I deleted it there too. I took it down. Here's the thing. I knew I knew MAGA was full of idiots. I did. I talked to these people. I know what they are. I did not know that this many existed on our side. I didn't. And it's been a really hard wake-up call for me. Again, I'm not kissing your ass when I tell you you're exceptional. The conversations that you folks have in the chat, the things that you understand, the how informed you are. Folks, you send me information and I look at this stuff constantly. You constantly email me stuff that I haven't seen yet. We are head and shoulders above so many people that don't, and I pointed it out before, all the people screaming, impeach Trump now. Well, you can't, folks. I mean, just basic civics. It's even worse. It's even worse. I had to make a video where I explained to people that this continuing resolution was going to pass no matter what. And there were people that actually, a lot of people that responded, no, it wasn't. No, you're wrong. Nancy Pelosi said, and you don't even know what Nancy Pelosi said. Folks, that CR was going to pass. I'm not defending Chuck Schumer here. The negotiations were a shit show. The communications were even worse. I think he needs to step down. I do. He needs to fall on his sword. He really does. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to do shows about what the Republicans are doing. This is the last I'm going to talk about it. Folks, the CR was going to pass. And this is why. When the government shuts down, what happens? Walk through this with me. Cozy Malik, hey, thanks for being here. First time supporter. Glad to see you, my friend. Thank you for being here. 90% of small farms are going to be wiped out. Bill Gates will be the new farmer Bob. You don't want someone with a monopoly on food. Amen, brother. Amen. Say it again louder for the folks in the back, man. George Allen, the awful tornadoes, Texas, Paul. We need to be thinking about these folks. Trump isn't. Yeah, that's one of the things that the Democrats always did that everybody took for granted. Disaster response. Doc Sanchez, Sevier is firing 83,000 employees at the VA are going to be laid off. You don't think that's going to affect veterans care? They're going to try to save money by destroying your care. If they can't process the people through the VA hospitals, they don't have to spend the money. And Johnny Got Rocks gets another little bit of a tax cut. They did it with this last budget. Everything that they cut went to a tax cut to Johnny Got Rocks. That's the last budget. That's why the CR was so freaking bad. One of the reasons the CR was so freaking bad. Linda S., thank you. We got to support independent media. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. I appreciate it. There's several of us out here banging our heads, man. We're getting this information out. And that's why I'm telling you why you have to be involved. You have to be active on social media. You have to get information out. But yeah, folks. And if you got to forgive me, I lost track of where I was going with this. But yeah, folks, the CR was going to pass. I explained that. People lost their minds. No, it wasn't. Walk through this with me real quick. Let's wrap this up and go into the roundtable on this note. When the government shuts down, what happens? People that are most reliant, not only does oversight stop, which is what Republicans want, but the checks stop going out, folks. If it's shut down long enough, the checks just stop. Who gets to decide what opens back up? The Republicans. They're the ones in control of Congress. Nothing passes that they don't want to pass. We can fight things, but we can't do things because we're the minority now. So if we would have shut the government down, the Republicans would have decided what opened up again, not us. It would have made this whole destruction of our government hyper easy. But setting that aside for a second, that argument aside, we're the party of keep the lights on. We're the party of making the buses run on time. We're the party of functioning government. We're not the party that just shuts shit down and oh well. Like Adam Kinzinger was having a fit, and the Lincoln folks were having a fit. They're like, you got to shut it down to make this happen. And people are like, well, I guess you think you're smarter than them. I do, because I understand this simple fact. This both sidism shit that people seem to have in their brains isn't real. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party are not the same animal. They don't have the same objectives. They don't. So when the Republicans shut the government down and people start getting hurt, it's the Democrats that give to the fucking oligarchs and Johnny Gotrocks and all those people to keep the government open, to keep people from getting hurt, the people that rely on the government. That's what we do. If you reverse that situation, you say, okay, the Democrats shut the government down. The Republicans are like, cool. That's what we like. The leverage isn't the same. And these people are believing, well, they could have just, negotiated better. And they could have, look, Chuck Schumer couldn't even negotiate a 1-month extension. I mean, it was a shit show. The communications was horrible. And yeah, I think he's lost a step. He needs to step down. But we as people need to get a better understanding of who the people are that are running our government and who needs to be held accountable for what. And that's it. That's the last I've got to say on this. I will not entertain it anymore. I have special elections to focus on in 2 weeks. I cannot say another negative thing about Democrats. You want to have that argument? We'll have the argument after the special elections. I will not do it. And you've seen it. I just showed you. Qasim Rashid just openly talking about, oh, we're going to promote a third party. They're trying to cause failure on purpose. They're not our friends. They're not our allies. Linda Orndorff, to show you how worthy the Green Party is, in, I think, the 2020 election, they could not be on the ballot here in Pennsylvania because they didn't fill out the proper paperwork. Yeah, I mean, the Green Party is nothing but a Republican-funded spoiler party here in the United States. It's not a real party here. It's not what they have in Europe. Colleen Sarah, sickens me of the whiners demanding instant gratification or give up. Check your own spine. Amen. She probably saw the post. I put a pretty hot post out from the cussing pond. I was a little on the hot side. Jordan, Nancy Pelosi stepped down, and Leader Hakeem Jeffries is doing a great job. He is. He held the coalition together. The Democrats in the House voted against this CR. They did what they could do. Hakeem Jeffries is doing a great job, but you've got people that don't know anything about the way things function, that don't even understand that that CR was going to pass. They don't, that just that basic amount of knowledge, the difference between the two parties and what they do, are sitting there trying to tell people in the government how they need to run the government. And it's asinine. I don't even do that. And I know shit. So that's it for that, folks. I mean it. I will not talk about it anymore. I will not entertain it. If you try to force that shit into one of my social media feeds, I will block you. That is the benefit. That's why I keep telling people, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. You know, one of the things that that gives you is when somebody tries to shear the ship into the rocks and tries to flood my social media platforms, our communities, with bad information, I can just kick them out. I'm not one of these small creators that has to have every person there so that they can just get, some people to watch. No, I can kick people out and it don't hurt at all. It doesn't hurt at all. Somebody insists on being insulting or stupid or anything like that. Bye. That's the power of this community. One of the things that is the power of this community. Monica Meadows, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for supporting the show. New supporter there. Glad to see you. Same people lie calling for impeachment. Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Well, folks, we've got a few minutes left. I'm more than happy to let's do a roundtable. Let's talk about what you think is important. Forgive the dead air. I'm going to read a few comments and come up with a good comment so that we can talk about it. Amy, thanks for being. And by the way, I get your emails. I do, and everybody, not just Amy, everybody. I haven't been for the last couple of days. I haven't been responding to emails. I'm reading them, but I haven't been responding to them. I've been a little under the weather. I've been busy doing things. Like I said, I'm meeting with local Democratic parties. I just haven't had the time to but I am reading them, folks. I am. Thank you for sending them. Amy, I got yours. I got it because I'm telling you, I read it. I wouldn't know it was there if I wasn't reading my emails. Political Musings with Amy Emanuel. Yesterday, I had to unfriend and delete someone on our side of the aisle because he posted anti-Semitic, anti-Israel BS on a post about the attempt to defund Medicaid. Yeah, folks, a lot of these people, this whole Gaza thing was horrible. I mean, there were good people that need our support, but no, there's no future for the Palestinian state that comes through the destruction of Israel. That's just not a thing. But you have so many people that are I cannot believe how many people are how uninformed so many people are. That they bought into this anti-Semitism and bigotry, that they literally believe that all of Israel is one man, Benjamin Netanyahu. And they don't even know that there's far worse than Benjamin Netanyahu on the right in Israel. The radical right in Israel. But they certainly don't know that there is a good and decent middle and left in Israel, people that get along and respect their neighbors, want peace, want the best for the Palestinian people. They're just not in power right now. But they still exist, people. Thanks for the comment, Amy. Good way to get Kay Allen, Democrat and vet here. Vote. Amen. Don't kill me. I'm just the issue is both parties are corrupt and lonely. This is the stupid shit I'm talking about, man. I'm sorry that you made a donation to make a comment that I'm going to rip, but I am going to rip your comment. No, This is both sides and bullshit. It just is. Democrats vote for what you want them to do 99% of the time. No, they're not the same. It is not two sides of the same coin. It's not the same animal. And that way of thinking and that comment is a problem. It's lazy is what it is. Linda Orndorff. And look, I'm not disrespecting you when I'm telling you that. There are just folks that don't understand day to day what the politics is. They don't understand that when negotiations over budgets happen, that Democrats have to literally fight to keep the frickin' lights on. That is what they're negotiating for in these budgets, and the Republicans are trying to destroy everything they can. That's what these negotiations are, and people don't know that. So it is intellectually lazy and easy just to say, they're all corrupt. That's an easy bullshit way out. It means if you say that, you no longer have to do anything. It's a cop-out. It really is. It's a cop-out. Linda Orndorff, the Mighty Touch needs our help. The Rogan Bros are giving them bad reviews on their podcast. We need to go to wherever you can. This is a thing. Great thing for you to bring up in the roundtable. You know I love the guys over at Midas Touch. I really do. Brett, Ben, and Jordy, I consider personal friends. I am a contributor for I haven't said anything in the last week and a half. I've been, like I said, focused on everything, other things, but we're working together. Both Midas Touch and I are working to get me to contribute more to their platform. And it hasn't been them, it's been me. And I support those guys. They're doing good things. They really are. I don't agree with everything they say. I don't agree with everything with anybody, but these people, it's like I look at the Democratic Party. They're doing the good work, even if I disagree with some things on the platform. But yeah, this is really happening. You got these punk asses that watch Joe Rogan that are just putting bullshit reviews out. They don't even watch the Midas Touch podcast. They just want their god and leader, the little 4-foot leprechaun, Joe Rogan, to be number one. So they're flooding the Midas Touch podcast with negative reviews. Counter that. Go wherever you like to, Apple, wherever you like to get your podcast, Spotify, go give Midas Touch a good review. Counteract this bullshit. This is the kind of stuff that just frustrates me. And when I tell you, this is a perfect example, Linda. Thank you again, Linda. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about we're a community, and I can only go leave one review that'll get counted. Those systems have figured out that if one person leaves 10 reviews, they only count one. You, our community, the size of our community, you can do this. There are 4,000 of us. There was 4,200 of us in a minute ago, 4,300 of us a minute ago. There are 4,000 of us in here right now. You can go leave reviews. If just 10% of you went and left 400 positive reviews for the Midas Touch podcast, you'd make a huge difference. I mean, you really can change the game. And it doesn't have to be all of us that do it. Just you, the one person I'm looking at and talking to right now. Johnny Worms, from one hugger to another, a little something. I'm telling you, I've got, it's like a zoo in here. You wouldn't believe I got 2 kitties and a dog in here right now. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you being here. I say it again. I couldn't do it without you. Where do you do that? Apple, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, wherever you go, you can just Google Midas Touch Podcast, pick a platform that you like, leave a review. Me too. Yeah. Yeah. So many credible, good people went on his podcast and lent him their credibility when he's just a jackass. He's just a jackass. Neil deGrasse Tyson is one that crosses my mind when I say that. Neil deGrasse Tyson, brilliant man, absolutely outstanding at taking extreme, complicated subjects in astrophysics and explaining it in a way that anybody can understand. Brilliant man, goes on Joe Rogan all the time and lends Joe Rogan his, it's sad. It's sad. Oh, here's another comment. Yeah, Joy Reid was screwed. She was 100%. You're telling me that Joe and Mika still have a job, but Joy Reid doesn't? I love Joy Reid. Maddow and Reid were the two reasons I'm still watching MSNBC. And now Joy Reid is gone. And replaced with who? Michael Steele? What? I'm telling you, folks, you got to quit cuddling up to them former Republicans because they ain't that damn former. Mark Sibley, thank you. I appreciate you, folks. Your generosity is incredible. And I got to tell you, it's not just here, folks. I mean, I see it. The gifts that come on PayPal, the gifts that come even on the Shopify account. I didn't even know that was an option till one showed up the other day. Just that your generosity is incredible. And oh, by the way, I've gotten the coffee. I have gotten the coffee. Several more people have sent me coffee. Y'all are amazing about that. I have literally not bought coffee since a few weeks after I first started doing this podcast. I used to buy Dunkin' was my daily driver. I would tell people I would special order. I used to love Jamaican Blue Mountain. I would special order that. But people have been sending me incredible coffee. Really good. Y'all are so damn generous. I can't tell you enough how grateful I am. Mark Sibley, you are killing it. Texas Paul, sending love from Canada. We love you, bro. Keep fighting. Hey, man, elbows up, my friend. Elbows up. A lot of Americans don't know what that means. It's a hockey term. Gordon, help me out, my Canadian friends. Gordon, I'm a Texan. I don't follow hockey that closely. What was his name? Gordon invented a defensive style. It's used. Gordie Howe. There you go. Gordie Howe. I knew you. There you go, brother. Gordie Howe invented a defensive style that looked a little weird, keeping your elbows up, keeping people out. And that's where that comes from. When you hear a Canadian say elbows up, that's what they're talking about. Keep fighting, man. Keep fighting. Colleen Sarah, someone can be a genius, but have no common sense, speaking from a personal relationship. I got to hear that story sometime. But yeah, that is 100% true. There are people that, that are good at one specific thing that shouldn't be in charge of everything. They just shouldn't. Thank you for the support, Mark. I appreciate you being here. I know the value of $5. Same with you, Mo. I appreciate you being here. Well, folks, we are a couple minutes over. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the support. And again, I do see it, and I do see the emails. And no, the last few days I haven't responded. I am feeling a little bit under the weather. Sorry about the sniffles and stuff like that. And I have been busy. I'm not a hypocrite. When I tell you to get involved with your local Democratic Party, I do it. And I'll make you a deal. I will make you a deal. You do this. You do this. You get involved with your local Democratic Party, and you set up a cookout. This is the thing I'm trying to get all Democratic parties to do. Right now, they're doing it. They're having lunches and dinners and pressing flesh. They're networking. You get involved with your local Democratic Party and you set up a cookout, and I mean the cookout, where we get everybody in the community together. I will come. I get people all the time. "Hey, I wish I could have a beer with you. I wish I'd have a cup of coffee." I will come. You do that. You set up a cookout designed specifically for bringing everybody in the community in together, and I'll come. And I'll bring people. I'll tell everybody about it. We will show up. I love you folks. This is Old Texas Paul. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.